$795 a month. That's what a 40% back rating pays a veteran in 2026. And here's the part nobody warns you about. The VA can rate that exact same back two completely different ways, and one of them pays a lot more than the other. So stakes first. If you have a bad back from service, there's a second rating hiding underneath it that most veterans never file: the nerve pain that shoots down your leg. It stacks on top of the back rating, and I'll show you exactly what that stack is worth. Stay with me.
This is Erica, and here's the ruling that trips everyone up. The VA doesn't pay you for the words herniated disc. It pays you for what the injury took away. How far you can bend, and how many days it puts you flat on your back.
Right, so today we go deeper into the whole back and spine group. Bulging disc, herniated disc, the one they call IVDS, lumbar strain, cervical strain, spondylolisthesis. Different names, one rule book.
I'm Grace, and the number that matters is 2. 2 rating methods for the same spine. One measures how far you can move. The other counts the days a doctor ordered you into bed. 2 moves ahead, that fork is what decides your check.
Fenrir here. One question first. Why should a heel disc pay anything at all?
Because the disc rarely heals clean. It leaves stiffness, weakness, and a spine that won't bend the way it used to. That's the second method, actually. When your back locks you down badly enough that a doctor prescribes bed rest, the VA counts those weeks. They call it IVDS, intervertebral disc syndrome.
And here's the rule that pays. The VA is supposed to run both methods and rate you under whichever one gives you the higher number. Both things are true at once. Your back can be a 20 by motion and a 40 by bed rest, and the higher one is the one you're owed.
The leg is a separate story. That nerve pain shooting down into your leg, sciatica, is its own rating. It doesn't replace the back number. It combines with it. 2 moves ahead, that's the trap. The checks stack, and most veterans file only the back.
This is one shared rulebook covering a lot of conditions: bulging disc, herniated disc, degenerative disc disease, spondylolisthesis, cervical strain. Same schedule, same 2 doors, one question underneath all of them.
That question is the one you keep sending us. This week it came in almost word for word, so let me read it straight off the feed. Do I file my bad back and the nerve pain down my leg as one rating, or does the leg count on its own? Honest answer, there are 2 ratings that combine, and filing only the back is how veterans leave money behind.
That's the whole game today. 2 methods on the back, whichever pays higher, plus the leg on top. Everything we cover, the full conditions list, and a free tools page live at va.professorerica.com. Now let's open both doors. Two scoreboards for the same game. That's the cleanest way to see it, and the VA quietly keeps whichever one you make them read. Grace, walk both.
Scoreboard 1 is the general rating formula, and it scores you on how far you bend. The examiner measures your forward bend. More than 60 degrees but not past 85 is 10%. More than 30 but not past 60, or a stiff combined motion, is 20%. 30 degrees or less, or a back that's fused in a good position, jumps you to 40%, and a whole lower spine fused in a bad position is 50%. That's the first scoreboard, top to bottom, straight out of the rating schedule. Now the neck runs on the same idea, just tighter numbers. Cervical bend of 15 degrees or less is 30%, and a fully fused neck in a bad position is 40. Same logic, different hinge.
So what's the second scoreboard?
The IVDS formula, and it ignores the tape measure entirely. It counts incapacitating episodes. 2 to 4 weeks of doctor-ordered bed rest in a year is 20%. 4 to 6 weeks is 40. 6 weeks or more is 60%.
And that word prescribed is doing all the work. A weekend you spent in bed because your back screamed doesn't count. The regulation says the bed rest has to be prescribed by a physician, with treatment by a physician. No note, no episode.
So which scoreboard does the VA actually reach for first?
The one that pays you less, every time. Unless you make them run both and keep the higher, which the regulation actually requires.
So that's the whole episode right there.
It nearly is, and I walked this exact logic out loud on my morning walk, because it only holds one way. Motion and bed rest measure different damage, so the schedule literally says to pick whichever method results in the higher evaluation. That's not a loophole. That's the rule, written down.
One question though, straight off the comments, since it's been sitting under every rating video. If the VA is supposed to use the higher method, why do so many veterans still get rated on the lower one?
Because the exam only measured motion, and nobody handed the rater the bed rest evidence. The VA grades what's in front of it. Give it one scoreboard, it uses one scoreboard. That's why the next piece matters so much, proving the back is even yours to claim. Real quick, because this next part matters to you. If any of this is helping, tap that like button, then hit subscribe and ring the bell so the next one finds you. Both are free and take about a second, but they tell the algorithm to show this to one more person who needs it.
A back is worthless as a claim until the VA agrees it's theirs to own. So how does a spine become service-connected? The front door is direct, and for backs it's the common one. Years of ruck marches, lifting heavy gear, jumping out of aircraft, one bad accident. If the injury or the wear happened in service and it's in your record, that's the direct path, plain and simple.
And there's a back door people forget exists, which is the one I'd plan around. File it under 5237, the strain code. Wait, let me be exact. 5237 is the strain code, but if it's the disc pressing the nerve, that's 5243. Match the code to the injury. Either way, the door is secondary.
Secondary how?
Under 38 CFR 3.310. A service-connected knee or hip or foot changes how you walk, and after years of a bad gait, your back pays for it. The regulation says a disability proximately due to a service-connected condition is itself service-connected. So the bad knee you already get paid for can pull the back in with it.
Take the veteran with no back injury on record at all. You're telling me he still wins?
If his service-connected knee wrecked his gait for 15 years and a doctor connects the two, yes. That's the whole point of the secondary door. The back injury never had to happen in uniform. The cause did.
Okay, that changes how I'd tell people to file. I was picturing an in-service fall as the only way in. The gate chain opens a door for veterans who thought they had nothing.
And both doors turn on one hinge, the nexus. That's the doctor's sentence linking your back to your service, or to the service-connected cause. The standard is gentler than most veterans fear. At least as likely as not. An even chance clears it. You only have to tip it to even, not past all doubt.
But without that sentence, real pain reads as nothing. No link on paper, no rating. That's the hard warning of the whole episode. The VA can't connect the dots you never gave it.
So the move is simple. Direct if the injury is in your service record. Secondary if a rated condition changed your body. Either way, get the doctor to write the one connecting sentence before you file. Next, what all of this is actually worth.
A code is just an empty slot. Let me put a real veteran and real $2026 in it, so the stack I promised at the top stops being abstract.
Meet Dale, a 54-year-old Army veteran, 12 years hauling gear and jumping off tailgates. His lower back is a chronic lumbar strain and it's clearly service-connected. Today his back bends forward to about 30 degrees on a good day.
Show me the leg actually move the number. I don't buy the stack until I see the dollars.
And here's the second scoreboard Maya flagged earlier, except the leg is a whole separate game. Dale's disc presses a nerve, so pain and numbness run down his right leg. That sciatica is rated on its own under the nerve code, and for Dale it lands at 20%. So start with the back alone. 30 degrees of bend is 40%, and for a veteran on his own, that's $795.84 a month.
Now add the leg. You don't just tack 20 onto 40, that's the myth. You combine them under the schedule, and 40 combined with 20 rounds up to 50%.
So the same back, once Dale files the leg, jumps to $1,132.90 a month.
Run the gap across a year. The leg alone adds $337 a month, which is just over $4,000 every single year. That's the stack. And Dale had it sitting in his file the whole time.
That's the honest mechanism. Dale didn't earn more for suffering in the abstract. He earned it because the nerve damage is real, measurable, and rated on its own line. Both things are true: 1 injury, 2 ratings.
So the money question everyone actually has, we pulled the blunt version off the comments this week. Grace, you've got it.
Yeah, the blunt one. Is chasing a 20% leg rating even worth the paperwork? Or should I only bother if I can barely walk? My honest answer, $337 a month is $4,000 a year. For evidence a doctor may have already written down. That's worth an afternoon.
Worth it isn't always yes, and we'll fight about that at the end. But every rating runs through one appointment first, and we called in someone who knows that exam cold.
Every dollar we just walked runs through one appointment: the compensation and pension exam. Get it wrong, and a genuinely bad back reads on paper as nothing.
And here's the trap that costs people. You walk in, you're a soldier, you tough it out, you say you're fine. The form doesn't hear pride. It hears fine, and it writes down fine.
Which is why the tape measure is everything. They bend you forward with a goniometer, and honestly, I treat that exam like my mom's Sunday stew. You don't rush the slow part. You show them your real range on a real bad day, not the one good hour.
This is exactly what you want from someone who knows the exam cold, so let's get him on the line.
Happy to jump in, and Grace named the hinge. Range of motion. The regulation actually says weakness is as important as limitation of motion, and a part that becomes painful on use has to be treated as seriously disabled. So describe the flare-ups. The morning you can't tie your boots, the day after yard work when you're locked up. The exam has to account for your worst function, not the calm minute in the office.
Wait, so if I tough it out at the exam, I actually lose money?
Plainly, yes. The rater scores what you show that day. Be honest about the worst of it, not the best. That's not gaming it, that's giving them the true picture.
And where does all of it land? It's VA Form 21-526EZ. Section 1 opens with your name exactly as it reads on your DD-214. Then your social security number, which ties the claim to your record. And your VA file number, often the same as your SSN, but not always, and the wrong one here stalls everything.
Back pay. How far back does it reach?
Your back pay clock is simpler than people fear. Under 38 CFR 3.400, your effective date is the day the VA stamps your claim received, or the day the disability began, whichever comes later, meaning every month you wait for a perfect week is a month of pay you hand back. File it ready, not perfect. That's the short version, and thanks for having me on. One parting thought: read your own medical records before you file. If a doctor already wrote reduced range of motion in there, half your claim is built and you just haven't sent it.
That's the stuff no pamphlet ever hands you. Thanks for making the time for us. Here's the fork we owe you. Erica says if your back is documented, you always chase the higher method and file the leg too. Fenrir says your time and your nerves are a resource, and small ratings can cost more than they pay. Both of them mean it. Let's have it out.
File all of it. If a scan and an exam already show reduced motion, that's 40% for the back, and a documented sciatica adds a leg rating on top. That's real money the VA owes for evidence that already exists. Leaving it unfiled is leaving cash on the table.
The premise is wrong. You're assuming the evidence is clean. Half these backs are borderline. A 20-degree difference in bend, one flare a doctor never documented. You can spend a year chasing a maybe and get denied.
Fenrir put a line on borderline. Where exactly do you walk away?
When there's no prescribed bed rest, no imaging, and the bend is in the 60s, that's the coin flip zone. Above documented 40, the evidence carries itself. Below it, you're fighting for a maybe.
But the standard is at least as likely as not beyond doubt. A coin flip still pays if it lands.
Hold on, both of you. Erica, source the 50-50 for the room, because that's the whole load-bearing claim.
It's the benefit of the doubt standard, 38 CFR 3.102. If the evidence is evenly balanced, the VA must resolve it in the veteran's favor. That's why a borderline case is still worth building, not abandoning.
Fair. Then I'll narrow my claim. I'm not saying don't file. I'm saying line up the nexus and the bed rest notes before you start the clock so your even odds are actually even when you walk in.
Then let me name the case I'd never skip. The secondary back, the one a rated knee or hip, wore down over years. That connection is half built already, and it's the claim veterans overlook most.
So here's where the panel lands, and the schedule backs it in writing. Make the VA run both methods and keep the higher one. File the leg nerve as its own rating. It combines and it stacks. When the case is borderline, build the nexus and the bed rest evidence before you file so your even odds are really even. A documented back is worth the afternoon. A guess with no paper is worth lining up first. That's our honest verdict, and it's a rule you can act on tonight. Erica, Fenrir, thank you. Boil the whole episode down to one sentence. The VA rates your back two ways, on motion and on doctor-ordered bed rest. You take the higher of the two, and then the nerve down your leg stacks on top as its own rating.
Next time we stay in the spine group, and here's the hook. There's one situation where a back that measures perfectly normal in the office can still carry a rating. Wait until you see how that one works.
And the piece I'd hold on to, the secondary back. If the VA already pays you for a knee or a hip, the back that your bad gait wore down might be one doctor's sentence away from a check.
One quick ask. If this saved you a rating, subscribe. We're working through the VA schedule condition by condition, and a like drops it in front of the next veteran babying a bad back and blaming himself for it. Last thing, and it's yours to answer. Were you rated on the lower method, and did you ever push the VA to run the higher one on your back?
That covers everything I wanted to make sure landed today.
Get a little fired up about this stuff. It just means you are finally paying attention.
That was a clean kill, Maya. No wasted words. 8.8. This is Professor Erica. Thanks for watching and signing off.